Well, hello there, my friends. Welcome to 2021 and the first shitty announcement of the year, which is the iOS 14 announcement. Essentially, if you haven't seen it, you can go and search for iOS 14 prompt on Google and you should get an image that looks something like that. Now, what this means is that people using this operating system are going to get a prompt, something like Facebook would like permission to track you across apps and websites owned by other companies. Your data will be used to deliver personalized ads to you. And because there's a pretty negative stigma towards tracking, privacy, all that kind of stuff towards Facebook anyway, most people are probably going to click Ask App Not to Track. That's where we all kind of come unstuck. So who's probably going to get hit the hardest by this? E-commerce businesses, people wanting to get other people to install their apps, lead generation to a certain degree, certain styles of lead generation, webinar funnels, all of that kind of stuff. Local businesses, I think, have probably got it the best in that for a lot of the clients that we work for anyway, upon first impression of people seeing their ads, they generate a lead like that, and that then becomes an offline conversation. But there's all these other things that I'll talk about as well. So let's start at the top. Why did this come about? Well, you've got to think about it from two standing points. You've got Apple and you've got Facebook. Facebook, basically the currency is data. Facebook doesn't sell any particular products other than, to us, the media buyers, advertising space. Apple doesn't have any data to sell. Apple has products, physical products, right? And so if Apple doesn't own any of that data, then, why should it, vacate space for, third-party apps like Facebook and, YouTube and all of that kind of stuff to be able to, advertise on their platforms, on their devices. So that's where I assume it comes from. So I guess you could say a bit of a turf war there. Having said that, really the people who are losing out are people like me and you who are trying to advertise and put personalized ads in front of people who are most likely to want to purchase or inquire about more information to make their lives just that bit more convenient. To me, this is kind of like taking the, garage door remote away from someone as they're driving up to their garage door. Now they have to manually get out and go and, lift up the garage door. It's convenience. So there's something to be said, and there's merit behind showing people personalized ads instead of just, hopefully I don't start seeing, lingerie ads or something like that. I know Wish are pretty wild in terms of what they tend to show. So that's who's probably going to be affected the most. I would say that if we talk about different scenarios and what may be affected specifically, your custom audiences and the ability to build those audiences accurately is probably going to decline over time. Because let's just say there's 100 people running the iOS 14 and 50 of those people opt out of app tracking. That means that Facebook can no longer accept data about what they've done after they've gone offsite to your website or installed your app or whatever it is they're doing. Facebook cannot legally accept that data and attribution back to the ads manager. So if you and I create an ad right now and try and sell, coffee cups, then half of those people aren't actually going to come back as a purchase within Facebook because, the user has opted out of tracking. So your audiences are going to be affected. As I touched on there as well, your attribution is going to be affected as well. You might want to start looking at some third-party solutions for tracking and measurability and attribution, things like Hyros, things like Trackify, things like Wicked Reports, some of those kind of things, instead of focusing, and also GTM, Google Tag Manager as well, I should say, instead of solely focusing on the Facebook Ads Manager dashboard to give you those 100% accurate insights, because it's not going to be 100% accurate, never has been, but it's going to be less accurate as we go forward. So that's something to look forward to. Obviously, if your custom audiences aren't accurate, then your lookalikes aren't going to be as powerful either, because as you know, you create lookalike audiences from custom audiences. Coming soon as well, we're only going to be able to run, I think, up to 8 events, and that includes custom conversions as well. So within an ad account, if you're running a whole bunch of different campaigns with a whole bunch of different events, I think Facebook is automatically going to select which 8 are the best suited for your business. And again, that includes custom conversion. So I think some of you out there running webinar funnels or, ebook funnels, all of that kind of stuff, you might have a stack of custom conversions and events that you use and track. Facebook's only going to be able to receive about 8 of those as well. Now, what this is also likely to do is leave a void within the algorithm itself. Now, as we all know, the Facebook algorithm is one of the most powerful on earth. It enables us to, not only select a target audience and put wonderful ads out there, make sales and generate leads, all that wonderful stuff, but leverage machine learning. And that's exactly what it sounds like. There is a machine, an algorithm, that learns through feedback loops based on what people are doing and not doing in order to give us, the advertisers, and us, the business owner, the opportunity to leverage that and tell that thing to go and put my ad in front of the right people, or don't put the ad in front of these people based on what may or may not work best, right? There's now going to be a void there because Facebook no longer has access to that and is not able to receive that data because of the iOS 14 update. There's probably going to be some inconsistencies and probably, believe it or not, even a little bit more volatility in the algorithm itself, unfortunately. Having said all that, it's not all doom and gloom. iOS 14, although it makes up, quite a large segment of people who are advertising to in terms of the devices that they're using, I think, and don't quote me on this, but I think website browsers aren't going to be as affected because they don't have to go through, obviously, the same permissions in order to receive that tracking data and whatnot. As we all know, the Facebook Pixel, which utilizes third-party cookies, is responsible for us getting those callbacks from what actions people are taking on our websites, whether you've gone to my landing page and dropped your email in there and then gone to the thank you page, now you're a lead and blah, 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 blah. That's third-party tracking. Last year, Facebook announced that you could now use something called Conversions API. And I'll give you a visual of what the differences are really quick so that you understand. So this little paint job here, as you can see from left to right, you've got the standard way that data is received and tracked through Facebook. You've got a Facebook ad on the left. You've got a Facebook Pixel, which operates through the browser or the app. Go to the website, and that information about actions that you've taken, or even if you just viewed the landing page, gets passed back to Facebook, and that gets attributed in the ads manager. That helps the algorithm learn. That helps your ad account learn more about people who are interested in your products and services, so on and so forth. That's the way that we're traditionally advertising and passing data back and forth. Conversions API negates the use of the browser in the app, and it goes direct to what we call server-to-server tracking. So that'll mean essentially that you've got a Facebook ad, you'll be utilizing something which is called Conversions API, and I'll put a couple of links down below direct from Facebook's resources to have a look at so you can understand that a bit more as well, to your website, and that's passed directly from the server back to Facebook. Okay. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that Conversions API gets around the iOS 14 update. There's something that isn't being talked about today, which is the slow but sure crumbling of third-party cookies, which is the Facebook Pixel. So I think I'm pretty sure it's Google Chrome that announced by 2022 that they were going to basically, negate the opportunity to be able to track through third-party cookies. So that kind of sucks, obviously. And so Conversions API gets around that by not having to utilize the Facebook Pixel in the traditional way, right? So what can you do about all of this? Well, essentially, you can approach a web developer and get them to set up the Conversions API through Facebook's developer section on the website. You can Google all of this stuff, by the way. And yeah, don't get me wrong, it's quite a complex setup to say the very least. So if you struggle to set up Facebook Pixel, definitely look to outsource this or get in touch with myself and the team, and we may be able to do it for you. There is a native integration for those who are running Shopify stores. I posted it in our group, I Want to Learn Facebook Ads, yesterday. And that was, if you go down to the Facebook tab on the left when you're in Shopify, and then you click on data sharing settings, what you do is you select the maximum tracking sharing option, essentially. And what that does is, as you can see here down the bottom, it says maximum combines all data sharing options to reach the highest amount of customers. It uses Conversions API which shares data directly from Shopify's servers to Facebook. So it doesn't go back through the browser or the app. That's the difference. But again, that does not mean that someone who has opted out of tracking through the iOS 14 update, that will work. That's simply for something else that's coming down the track with the kind of crumbling of third-party cookies. Now that we're talking about third-party cookies, it should be noted that you should be going into your business settings and turning on first-party cookies, which is going to give you a little bit more longevity in terms of data being transferred back from servers and whatnot, all the wonderful stuff. I know we don't really want to talk about technical stuff here, but a couple other points that you could probably focus on as well is what we call two-factor authentication. Especially those of you who are running a personal profile into your business manager, and you're linked to a business manager, I should say, you definitely want to turn on two-factor authentication. If you've ever noticed or you've ever been restricted or disabled through your account where it asks you to upload your ID, then that's going to be a very quick fix, and it's going to negate any unnecessary disablings and whatnot. And also domain verification. Now, I actually found this quite fun. And this is stuff we're covering in our Facebook Hacker membership. So those of you who aren't in a position to, outsource or hire, a company like us to do it for you, definitely check out the Facebook Hacker membership. I'm going to be dropping all of the how-to videos on how to overcome all of these problems within that group. It's only $40 a month. I think we've got limited spots, but it's a really good place for you to be able to ask questions and just get ahead of the curve before, it all kind of lights itself on fire. But domain verification, essentially, you go into your business manager and your business settings, I should say, and you'll basically copy a bit of code. You'll drop it onto the header section of the website. Facebook will verify that. And then from that point, those domains that you have in your ad account will be deemed verified, and so you shouldn't hopefully get any unnecessary bans. But that'll also make any support that's required from Facebook very streamlined, and any sort of code that you need to implement in terms of conversions API or any other announcement that Facebook makes to try and negate this iOS 14 update, very streamlined, so you're not having to go back in 3 months' time and do all of this verification sort of stuff. I guess in a full summary, it doesn't mean that this is going to crumble your online business overnight. As I mentioned, I think local businesses probably have it the best, but you just need to be prepared, and you need to start taking action now. You need to start having conversations with your local marketers and your agency at the moment to start getting these things in motion so that you don't get caught. Because when you get caught, and if for whatever reason which is coming, and third-party cookies get dropped tomorrow, then your Facebook pixel is no longer firing events. Therefore, your ads are no longer optimizing. Therefore, you're kind of up shit creek in a nutshell. But I know you'll have 1,001 questions. At this point in time, nothing is really concrete as to when things are happening, what's happening, and the best solutions to take. Facebook's still releasing help documents, support, and all of that kind of stuff as we go along here. So as that comes through, I'll update it on my socials here, and I'll let you know as soon as possible. But if you have questions, drop them below. I'll talk to you soon. See you later.